So another key element of customer service management within an Amazon brand and business is going to be paying attention to the CX score, which is really a score that Amazon calculates based on consumer feedback on returns, defect rates, things like that for each one of your ASINs in the catalog. Why it's important is really twofold. Number one, if you get a CX score that becomes too negative, you will actually get your listing suppressed by Amazon. So they think that maybe something might be happening, maybe there's a too high defect rate, and you need to go in and manually review those scores and change something in your listing in order to get it back going again. So whenever that happens and you have a listing suppressed, you definitely want to go in there and see what the feedback is. Oftentimes this happens when you newly launch a SKU, simply because if you have, say, 2 defective returns and you've only sold 20 products, it's going to show a 10% defect rate just because you haven't had enough sales volume yet. But what you want to do is just make sure that it's nothing serious and systemic. If it's not, you literally just need to make a couple edits to the listing. Maybe you want to add a couple things to your last bullet, something like that, that address potential customer questions or issues. And then you submit that and you can bring it back. There are times though that if it happens over and over and over and over, that they'll actually suppress your listing for investigation. I've had this once with mirrors that I made. There was basically a color of the frame mirror that some people thought didn't look like the color that was in the photo, or we had mirrors break, things like that. And what they had to do is they actually had to send somebody in from Amazon warehouse to actually review and make sure that the color was what we said it was. So there are times when you can have a listing go down for like 5-7 days if that happens. So that's probably the most critical. You will get email alerts for those. So if you've got somebody paying attention to your email, you will get notified if that happens. Also, if you have Sellerize alerts active or alerts from another software, that will notify you if a listing goes down. But beyond that, what's I think good for you as a business leader and owner is to come in here like once a month or so and just kind of see what the vibe and the feedback is for your various products. So this is one of our brands here. You can see that we're all in pretty good shape here with 6 of the listings in good condition. Nothing out of the ordinary here. You can see here the NCX order rate, which is basically like the number of orders where customers have reported issues. That's usually a defect. And then there's the NCX rate percentage. Usually if this goes over 10%, that tends to be where you might have some listing challenges. But what's kind of cool here is you can actually go into the C details, and you definitely want to do this if you've actually had one that's been flagged. And then it basically just says here, what are the top customer issues? And you can kind of see what percentage the issues are. So this one's defect. Some of them are inaccurate website description. Basically, your listing's not saying what the customer thought it should say. Or there's just some performance or quality issues with the product. And then the other thing that's really cool is if there's any feedback. So if a customer returns a product as defective, they actually have to leave a comment when they submit that return request. And so this is basically just sharing what those comments are. So it's good to come in here on a monthly basis, even if you don't have any issues with your listings getting suppressed, and just going to scan these feedback and just see if there's something that you need to take upstream to your product development, or you need to make some adjustments with how you're communicating to customers on your listing. So paying attention to this voice of the customer information, which can be found in performance, voice of the customer, is another key thing with your Amazon brand.